Sat up and it's full. And we had so many different things going on that there was money coming in from every direction that we were getting rich.
Whitey Bulger's rival, Pat Nee, a former armed robber, is lured by the prospect of easy money and joins in.
The first time we collected the week's rent off all these guys, I was amazed at the amount of money involved. I said, we've been in the wrong business all these years. You just sit around all week and you get what the winnings are at the end of the week. There's no hijacking, there's no guns, there's no chasing trucks around. You just sit someplace and make sure everyone pays up on time.
Nee remains wary of his new partner.
There was not that much trust. I was always wary. He wasn't the kind of guy you could get comfortable with. A lot of our guys like to have a good time. Whitey wasn't capable of doing that. He didn't know how to interact with people, except on a business level. And that was usually either scaring people or conning people. I've only seen him out maybe once or twice at social events. He was highly uncomfortable and left as quick as he could.
But James Whitey Bulger does befriend a young thug named Steve Flemmi. Flemmi is half Italian, half Irish. As an Army veteran, he possesses a prowess with guns that earns him the nickname the Rifleman.
Stevie Flemmi wasn't a very nice person to be around. There was just nothing there. We'd be talking for an hour, and then he'd jump back in the conversation where it originally started an hour ago. I don't know where he went in his head, but he wasn't with us. Him and Whitey seemed to understand each other, though.
With Flemmi's help, Bulger could still pose as a loyal member of the Winter Hill Gang, discreetly murdering anyone who stands in his way. Based miles to the north in Somerville, Howie Winter continues to pocket his cut from the Southie rackets, unaware of the growing Bulger menace.
He was very, very cute the way he went about doing things, you know, I mean, and they were over there in South Boston, and I was going about my business, you know, and you'd hear that this guy was missing or something like that, and you wouldn't think anything of it, you know.
James Whitey Bulger wants to get to the top of Boston's Irish gangland. By 1978, only Howie Winter stands in his way, yet Winter's luck is running out. Winter participates in a race-fixing scheme at the horse tracks. The gang bribes jockeys and dopes horses to get the results they want. But a jockey is caught and soon spills the beans to the FBI. His testimony helps send Howie Winter to jail for 10 years for racketeering. Bulger and Flemmi, members of the gang, walk free. James Whitey Bulger takes over as boss. Pat Nee is suspicious.
Whitey was in that racetrack fixing scheme. Him and Stevie got pulled out of it. They should have been indicted too, they didn't.
Bulger and Flemmi avoid indictment because the FBI removes their names from the indictment list. The reason why is astonishing. Bulger and Flemmi, now two of the most powerful gangsters in Boston, are also both FBI informants. By the early 1980s, James Whitey Bulger has finally made himself undisputed king of Boston's Irish gangland. But while he kills informants who rat on him, he himself is an FBI informant. Whitey Bulger and his deputy Steve Flemmi are both part of the FBI's top echelon program.
Informant information is critically important in order to enhance public safety. You look at identifying people in the organizational structure, anybody that might be able to assist law enforcement, you know, to infiltrate that organization.
In Boston, busting the Mafia, the city's oldest organized crime group, is part of a national FBI priority. The feds believe Whitey Bulger can help them bring the mob down. The Boston Mafia is based in the city's Italian district, the North End, a maze of bars and restaurants located just to the east of some of America's most important historical sites. Whitey Bulger has a difficult relationship with the city's Italian mobsters.
From what I saw, the relationship was, I don't know how to put it, maybe an uneasy truce. You know, I don't think either side really trusted the other side.
The problem stems from the mob's supremacy in the city. The Boston Mafia is backed by New England crime boss Raymond Patriarca. The connection makes the Boston Mafia potentially dangerous.
The Mafia has a lot of teeth, and they can bite you from any direction. You know, the Mafia is dangerous people.
Before going to jail in 1977, Irish gang boss Howie Winter works to coexist with the Italian Mafia.
If someone wanted to operate in an area, we'd make sure that we were not stepping on any of their toes, and that way we always got along real good with them. And if someone did operate in an area, we would always go to them and tell them, you know, 9 out of 10 times they would say, that's fine, you know.
But Bulger resents having to cater to the Mafia. So when the FBI reaches out to Bulger and Flemmi, they decide to cooperate. For them, it's a golden opportunity to use federal help to bring down a major rival. But there's also an added bonus: protection from investigation. Under the top echelon program, the FBI can shield informants from the police as a way of keeping them on the street. Normally, the FBI and local law enforcement routinely share details of their organized crime operations. But in Whitey Bulger's case, the disclosure is strictly one way.
There is no obligation, certainly, to share information. There's nothing within our rules or within our law that requires that to happen. But good law enforcement practices would suggest that there should be, you know, some communication between the law enforcement agencies.
In this case, such communication doesn't happen. The FBI does not reveal Bulger's informant status to the local cops. Whitey Bulger is occasionally captured on Boston police surveillance cameras. Unaware of the extent of his crimes, the city cops consider him a small-time Southie hood. So in 1980, when Bulger is spotted at a garage near the North End, far from his home turf, the local cops take an interest. A Massachusetts State Police surveillance team gets these pictures of Bulger meeting with mob boss Jerry Angiulo's brother. When the FBI is informed, the meetings stop. It's part of a repeating pattern. Every time the state cops have Bulger under surveillance and inform the FBI, Bulger stops talking openly.
We had numerous, wiretaps going and bugs, throughout the city. But if it started moving over towards Bulger and Flemmi's group, oftentimes those investigations were being compromised. It was kind of clear that there was something happening there. There was some kind of relationship that was not allowing investigations to be conducted on them.
The state cops come to suspect that Bulger is under FBI protection. But now, they accuse the feds of alerting Bulger when local law enforcement is watching him. And that's more than protection. It's corruption.
That's when we started to run into a little bit of conflict with some of the people in the FBI.
At the height of the growing conflict between the state police and FBI, Robert Fitzpatrick is appointed deputy chief of the Boston FBI office.
I was told that I had to go up there, kick some ass, and take names because the office did have a problem. But I wasn't really told specifically what the problem was.
Fitzpatrick interviews Bulger personally. He wants to check out how much the Irish mobster really knows about the Italian mafia. The meeting does not go well.
My gut visceral reaction was, whoa, you know, who's this guy? He's got this tough guy stance, talk about tough guy stuff, and it's I. What I did this, I did that. But nothing what he's doing for the FBI. You know, Whitey, what are you doing for me? I know what you do, but what are you doing for me?
Fitzpatrick recommends that Bulger's informant status be terminated. This would make him fair game for any local police investigation. But Bulger has friends inside the FBI. Bulger's FBI handler is Agent John Connolly. Above him is Supervisor John Morris. When Fitzpatrick talks to Morris about terminating Bulger, he gets a surprising response.
I says, we're going to close this guy. And Morris looked at me and says, no, you're not. And I got a little angry, to be honest with you, and I looked at him, I says, what do you mean? He says, you'll never close Bulger.
Morris is proven right. He and Connolly persuade their FBI superiors that Bulger's intelligence on the mafia is too valuable to lose. Fitzpatrick remains unconvinced.
I'm hitting a blank wall here, and I'm beginning to think that something's wrong.
Fitzpatrick's suspicions grow when one day Connolly invites him to a meeting at this building, the Massachusetts State House. He's arranged a private audience with the state Senate president himself, none other than Whitey's brother, Billy Bulger. As state Senate president, Billy Bulger wields enormous influence in the city. Connolly wants to show off his connection to his new FBI superior, Robert Fitzpatrick.
I get into this big office, and Billy comes out, shakes my hand, oh, happy to see you, and so forth and so on. And as we're leaving, I say to John Connolly, how do you get here? Who are you? Because this was unheard of. Special agents just don't do that.
Connolly turns out to have close ties with the Bulger family. Both grew up in South Boston. Both live in the same neighborhood. Fitzpatrick thinks that maybe the federal agent is trying to win favor from the state Senate president by protecting his criminal brother.
I began to see that, whoa, this guy is in bed with Billy. He handles Whitey. And so I'm wondering, well, you know, what the heck is going on here?
Despite Connolly, the Massachusetts State Police still see Bulger as a key target. His criminal operations are wreaking havoc on local streets.
We had to do our job and let the chips fall where they fall. And that's what we focused on. You know, we knew they had killed people. How much more are we going to let that go on?
But for the moment, the Bulger crime spree continues. As local police try to get closer, Bulger embarks on a criminal adventure that will make headlines around the world. By the mid-1980s, James Whitey Bulger seems to be above the law. He and sidekick Steve Flemmi are covert FBI informants. In turn, they receive protection from police investigators. But senior FBI agent Robert Fitzpatrick senses Bulger's FBI handlers are doing more than protecting him. They're tipping him off.
Somehow the bad guys, the wise guys, are finding out what we're doing. And that information may in fact be coming from FBI agents.
At the height of his power, Bulger embarks on a venture that will extend his influence far beyond the city of Boston, all the way to the land of his ancestors, Ireland. Since the late 1970s, Pat Nee, once Bulger's bitter enemy, has devoted himself to a cherished cause: the IRA's war against Great Britain.
I grew up in a small little part of Ireland. My family's political beliefs, they were Republican in the Irish sense of the word. We really did feel that The British had no place in Northern Ireland.